All right, guys, so we are finishing up the last pieces of our wall. Kind of a 2-year project, really. We did a lot of it last year, came out this year and realized we want to do just a little bit more just to tie it in and make it look nicer. But we decided that it might be a good idea just to do a quick film of what we did and kind of how it looks. Haven't really seen anything like this on YouTube of this size anyways. It's a really different project, but we just want to give you a run through of kind of the different steps we took and what we did to support it and get it all into place. First thing we did before we set any ties, we ran a string line down this hillside all the way, dug it down, got it to where it was level, and the length that we wanted, straightness that we wanted, we kind of kept it at an even distance from the house all the way down. That was our measuring point, was off the house. Once we did that, we dug it out, got it level. We laid down a fabric just to try to help separate the ties from the dirt, and then we laid in a lot of this kind of pea gravel material down just to help level it some more, separate it from the dirt. And then we backfilled behind the wall once we got the ties stood up with this same gravel, and that'll really help with drainage and make sure the wall isn't going to get too much pressure from the water. There's not a lot of water here in Nevada, so it's not really something that I'm worried about, but we just didn't want it to blow any of the corners out or the bottoms or anything like that. So we just made sure the drainage was right, everything sloped away so the water will run down the backside of the wall through the gravel and out versus building up pressure. So that's how we started with the pea gravel and setting the ties. All right, guys, so to stake this together, what we used was a 16-inch galvanized nail. Pre-drilled the holes and then just drove those through, and you can see they really sink through both ties. There's 2 in per each tie. Tried to put them on either end of the tie just to keep it from wandering at all. Tied those all the way down through there. There's also pieces of rebar in here that run from basically top to bottom just to give it some more stability. The big thing you want to do when doing anything with like ties or overlapping wood is to offset your joints like this. You never want to put a joint straight up and down. That's a good spot for it to actually blow out. So you try to offset these joints like I have here, and that just gives it some more stability. But yeah, to tie all this together was a lot of rebar and a lot of spikes. Alright, guys, so we're putting in the last deadman for the wall that we've built. Kind of did some last year and finishing it off this year. We figured we'd show you what I did. But basically what we did when I staked in these ties is at different intervals. I've got a 3-foot piece of 1/2-inch rebar that I drive through all of them and down, it sinks down into the ground also to help stake it in. But I pry the top tie up just a little bit so I can have some space. And then what I do is run this fence wire around that rebar that's in the tie and then over to a 3-foot concrete stake over here. And when you drive that stake in, I lean it back just a little bit so then when it puts pressure on it, it's not going to pull it out of the ground. But I run that through a few times and then just kind of like building like an H-brace on a fence. Just find you something and give it a bunch of twists to really tighten that up. And what that does is just helps to hold the wall from leaning out. I do put it in the top one, and then like I said, the rebar's in the ground to help keep the bottom from kicking. And also what we do is we cut a bunch of railroad ties in half and post hold them into the ground, so they're 4.5 foot once you cut them, 9 foot ties total. But that also helps keep the bottom from kicking out. But that's kind of how we supported it to keep it from leaning at all. There's a bunch of these throughout the wall that we used rather than sink the deadman with the ties. I chose to go this route. So to build the wall, it's obviously it's a terrace, and kind of the rules with a terrace is whatever you come up, you want to go double the distance in before you go up your next wall there. So what I did was came up 4 ties. It's about 30 inches. So I went in about 60 inches. And what I did was I kind of just built a little jig to spot check it. And so what, you can't see it now, but basically what we would do is put this piece right on the inside of this tie, and this would lay down flat. And where those two 2x4s are down there would be kind of where the edge of my next tie would go. And basically what that did was just give us a offset distance to start the next dig, to digging the hill back, getting it level, and running a string line down through here. So this jig came in handy. Ran it all the way down here just to make sure the spacing stayed the same, and then did the same up on top. And that just helped to really keep it consistent on there. So one thing we did when we were digging it, this hill was kind of wavy. We'll put in some before or after pictures of how it started and how it ended. But when we dug it, we dug our line and we threw the dirt upwards, so that when we set the tie, we just raked it back downhill to backfill this tie in on the wall and make this fairly level. And it actually required a lot more fill besides what we were digging. So what I did was, once it was all filled and it was in fairly flat, I had the local gravel company bring me a load of topsoil and used a tractor to bring in this a lot better black dirt here that we want to grow in. This Nevada dirt, this sand that we have, just doesn't, it'll grow stuff, but it takes a lot of time. So once we had this leveled out, we then filled it up just a little bit under the front lip here with this black dirt that we'll go ahead and we're gonna till it all once we're finished here, get it nice and flat and broke up. And then once we plant our different plants in here, we'll run a drippy system through this whole wall, just so it's nice and simple to water everything.